Ian Wright, how are you, sir?
I'm very well, thanks, Adam. Very well in the current climate. Spending a lot of time with my girls. It's an interesting time, but it's not a bad time.
Yeah. Obviously, we've seen you make plenty of media appearances through the digital landscape. In fact, I was so excited to speak to you today. We even drew up this background, as you can see, with a couple of versions of you during yesteryear. But I feel a bit informal because you're in a t-shirt and I'm in a jacket.
No,
So
man, you're being professional. I'm being in. I should have been a bit more formal. Let's say.
No, it's okay. I'm trying to be professional, pretending to be professional. We have met before as well, so it's great to talk to you. You wouldn't remember, it was at Goodison Park. Kevin Campbell introduced us.
Okay.
When Arsenal were playing. I think it was last season.
Yeah, I think they beat us. I think they beat us. Was that Calvert Lewin? Yeah, Calvert Lewin.
Yeah. A little while ago. Is football still a heavily discussed topic at home? Because obviously it's a huge part of your life.
Very much so. It's that's what we do. Obviously Bradley's in New York, Sean's over in Arizona, and then my grandson's obviously up in Manchester. But football's never far away from us because it's our life. It's all of us. It's our life. It's my life. It's everything that I do. It's a strength from football. So we talk about it all the time.
As do I, and I'm sure all the football fans around the world, lots of hypothetical situations. I mentioned Kevin Campbell, so I dropped him a message telling him I'm going to interview you. You know each other, of course. Yeah. So I asked him if there's any question he could ask you, what would it be? And verbatim, he wrote back, the one question I would ask Wrighty is, in hindsight, looking back on an incredible career, is there anything he would change?
No, because I think I was very fortunate. I was fortunate to get into the game when I was 22 at Palace. I was playing Sunday morning football, and then I was fortunate enough to get the trial at Palace and get through that. And then, it went very well at Palace. Palace was an amazing time for me. I learned a lot of the manager, learned a lot off of Mark Wright, learned a lot of the players. And it stood me in good stead for going to a great club like Arsenal. It's a magnificent club, and to go on to end up winning the league and you win the Golden Boot. I was a top scorer for a while there. It couldn't have gone any better. So for me to think, what would I have changed would have been, no, there's nothing to change. I'm very grateful to what I had. If I wanted more, in fact, I wanted more.
In terms of your career, let me spin it another way. What is your proudest achievement? Because there are so many that I could list out for either club or country. Representing your country is one thing.
I think that playing for England has got to be way up there. I think signing professional forms, my first contract for Crystal Palace, coming like it did. I didn't realise it was going to happen like it did, because I've been trying to be a professional footballer from the age of 10. I've been trying to get into football teams, and the rejection, it was very tough through my teen years, my adolescence years. And to end up signing professional forms at 22 is a massive achievement for me. And when I look back, it's got to be one of the biggest because I'd never thought it would have happened. But then representing England, I think, is probably my biggest achievement. Winning things and personal accolades are always fantastic, and your teammates help you to win things. But to end up playing for England is something that I didn't even think of at some stage, and it never got that far in the dreams. I've heard people say that, and I totally understand when they say that, because to pull on the three lions next to Gaza, Lineker, Waddle, Robson, and Shilton, the great team, was magnificent.
Yeah, certainly childhood dreams realized effectively.
Yeah.
I've enjoyed some of the interviews you've given in recent times, and one common thread I can seem to see is intensity. Intensity when you're doing battle on the pitch. There was that story about Steve Bruce, etc. So who's the most intense individual that you've actually played with or played against?
Well, the most intense I've played against would probably have to be Roy Keane. Roy Keane was really intense. There was no let up in his manner on the pitch when he got on. When he was on there with Man United, and this is why they won so much. This is why they were so revered. That's why they were so great, because he was a captain that didn't let anybody rest on their laurels. and he drove that team for many years. He was majorly intense on the pitch. And I think when you talk about somebody who I played with, intensity, Martin Keown, you know, we're talking about no day off for him. You know, in training, he was exactly the same as how he played, which is something that I tried to take from his game, because you can't switch it on and off like a tap. You know, the intensity that you have to play at the Premier League level and international level. So if you can maintain a certain intensity all the way through, whether it's training, whatever you're doing, even in friendlies, Martin, he said to me, you should continuously play like you play, train like you play. And he was majorly intense.
Yeah.
To the point where he was over the top intense.
A few years ago, he moved to where my best friend stays. And I saw Martin cycling around. I've never met him, but I've never seen someone look so intense when they're simply cycling around. I think it was in the summer, but you don't want to get in his way. I think cars have moved out of his way. He looks that intense.
Martin, what you got to understand, Adam, Martin took it, what's happened there? My screen's gone. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. I can still hear you.
There we go. Yeah. Well, I'm sorry. What was I going to say to you? Yeah, Martin. What I was going to say about Martin is that he was one of the most friendliest men you can ever meet. And I think that when you hear him doing his analysis, you can hear he's very concise, very intelligent bloke, and some maybe a little bit misunderstood.
Yeah, we just did an interview of him as well, my colleagues. So I'm looking forward to watching that.
Yeah.
Just don't get on his bad side, because I was working with Michael Brown, and he told me he was one that kicked the ball, which hit Martin on the back of the head.
Oh my gosh!
During the live broadcast.
Yeah.
Can you imagine that?
I tell you what, if Martin found out that on that day, he would have been in trouble.
We'll keep it between us and everyone else who's watching this. I've also watched people that know you, and everyone has said you're like the center of attention. You're so fun and engaging, and just a generally really good guy. But in terms of being funny, who could give you a run for your money? No,
to be honest, Gaza, Paul Gascoigne, is, you know, when I'm in his company, he's hilarious. You know, it's funny because, like, as well, I have to say, Roy Keane is somebody that people would not envisage being somebody that is like so engaging and so funny. But he doesn't open up to a lot of people. But he's really somebody that when you're in and around, he's very engaging, he's very funny, he's intoxicating. But Gaza is hilarious. I love being in his presence. He's a real character. One of the few left. One of the few.
Did he have a specific nickname for you? Because I've gathered tidbits from players that played with him, and they all give me a funny story.
What did he call me? No, the nickname he had for me was to do with my rear end. So I wouldn't like to share that with people, what he used to call me. So, you know what I mean? But we when we were together in England, we spent all our time together. Like, we walked around, we went everywhere, dinner together, we'd play tennis, we do all the stuff together. And even now, you know, Gaza will still call. It was called at 1 o'clock in the morning. We'll speak for a couple of hours.
One of the greatest talents England has ever seen. I think there's no doubting that. I also reached out to another person who didn't play with you, but he came from Arsenal, Fabrice Muamba.
Yes.
So he wanted me to ask this question verbatim, again, this is exactly what he messaged me. Did he wish he stayed a little longer at Arsenal once Anelka came to the club?
That wasn't my choice. I would have loved to have retired at Arsenal. I was always going to retire in the year 2000, and that was my plan. And obviously, after winning the league in '98, Nicholas Anelka was emerging, and he was emerging at quite an alarming rate. It was fantastic. And I think that he still had plans. I think Thierry was somebody that he was going to bring in as well. So in Arsene Wenger's mind, maybe I was a little bit surplus to requirements in that particular time. But and you could see that wouldn't have been that would have been an amazing force, Nicholas Anelka and Thierry Henry. With Dennis Bergkamp backing him up. You know, it's even frightening to think of. But I never ever at any stage wanted to leave Arsenal. It was a decision that was made. And in the end, it was a mutual decision between myself, Arsene Wenger, and David Dein. And I left. But no, I wanted to retire at Arsenal. I wanted to finish at Arsenal. If I could have had my, if it was up to me and my choice, I'd have only played for Palace and Arsenal. But in the end, I had some great time at West Ham. I had a month at Nottingham Forest, which was fantastic, great month. Celtic was a experience that is something that's for another day, but the fans are something else. And, you know, finishing up with my great and dear friend Stan Turner at Burnley and getting promotion was a brilliant way for me to sign off my football career. But if I could have, I probably would have retired at Arsenal. I would love to have stayed.
Yeah, but sadly the decision was taken out of your hands. It can't all fall into your lap there. Did you envision Arsene Wenger staying at Arsenal Football Club as long as he did?
No, I don't think anybody would have thought that the boss was going to stay as long as he did, to the point where in the end it maybe was a few years too long. I think that the players in the end, they kind of, I don't know, there was a lack of progress. You could see there was no accountability for poor performances, and I think that the squad, they kind of stopped responding, I think, to what the boss was about. Because when he first got there, he wasn't a shouter and screamer. He was very much, he'd talk to you, tell you what's going on, what he sees you doing, what he sees that you should be doing, and stuff like that. Treat you like an adult. Whereas, you know, you got managers before that are screaming and shouting in your ear from a yard away, and, you know, all that's doing, you know what I mean? It's just annoying you. But I think that what can happen, and what may have happened with Arsene Wenger towards the end, was, you know, the players took his kindness for weakness. And I think that's what we saw in a lot of the performances, a lot of substandard and subpar performances from Arsenal players who should have been doing more for a manager that gave them everything what they had at that particular time. So, you know, you look at it and you think to yourself, his time at Arsenal will be remembered fondly, because he will go down as the greatest manager we've ever had. But, like, I'm quite pleased that it did end like it did, because it was starting to get bitter and nasty. Fans were being nasty. And it was horrible to read some things. And I didn't want to be thrown in with all those fans, because when Arsenal are playing as poorly as they were, and you're doing your punditry, you have to say what's going on. So they don't like that. But, yeah, Arsene Wenger, like I say, will only go down as a legend now. That it's all gone. All gone.
If you, as Arsenal's greatest manager, what about the player that you consider Arsenal's greatest ever? Because it's one of the richest clubs in terms of history and heritage, not just in England, but in world football. And there's so many to choose from. Put yourself in the bracket if you wanted to, but who do you classify?
The greatest player I think that we've ever had is Thierry Henry. The greatest signing we've had is Dennis Bergkamp, without a doubt. Dennis Bergkamp changed the way Arsenal were going to perform in the years to come once he got there. You've seen the success that Arsenal had with Dennis, to go on the Invincibles and everything what that team done. That was all stemmed through Dennis Bergkamp. But as a one-off player, footballer, skills, amazing ability, Thierry Henry is for me, the greatest players in the Premier League ever. Yeah,
and it all started when Dennis Bergkamp knew at a gas station.
Yes.
On the other side of London. Or something.
On the other side of London.
Crazy.
Yeah, Clackett Lane Services, yeah. We bumped into each other when he just signed. Because at the time, remember, he didn't fly, so he was driving back. And we bumped into each other on the pump. I couldn't believe it. It was amazing. I was like a child. I couldn't wait to go to train with him.
And it's a friendship that's maintained over time
absolutely,
as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I went across to see Dennis the other day, and his lovely wife and his kids and that. You know, I'm hoping to see him soon as well. You know, because we're very, very close.
Yeah. I got a couple of other things to do, but just this final semi-serious question: Messi, Ronaldo for you? I love asking this question because everyone has an opinion.
I'll probably go with Ronaldo, simply because of Messi is an amazing footballer, an amazing talent, and you know it's an opinion. My opinion is that Ronaldo, I will go for him. I'm not saying he's a better player, but I will go for him simply because of his work ethic and what he's done, the amount of leagues he's played in, the drive that he has, the intensity in which he's driven himself to be one of the best in the world, either him or Messi, depending on who you are. But I admire his work ethic, and I think it's something for the young guys to look up to right now, because him and Messi, excuse me, because him and Messi, especially when you look at Cristiano Ronaldo and what he's got and what he's able to have materially, he's got everything, but he's his drive and determination to work hard and strive to be the best and win everything he can is an inspiration. And that is why I believe that, for me, I will go for him, because any young player, you play 5-6 games and you've got the whole world at your feet, giving you money till you like crazy. You have to look at what Ronaldo's doing. It's not about money with him. It's about achieving.
Yeah, you can just look at his tally of medals, and it speaks volumes for club and country as well, I should add, taking Portugal to get an international trophy. I'm sure you know that the Premier League Hall of Fame was due to be launched, but obviously with everything that's happened, it's been delayed, and they were supposed to announce the first 2 inductees for the Premier League Hall of Fame. I want to know who you would put in as the first 2, because for me, it's Alex Ferguson and Alan Shearer, but that's my personal opinion. What about yours?
I'd probably put in Alan Shearer and Ryan Giggs. I think that obviously, I'm not sure the category is for managers as well, but if it is, then obviously he's somebody that will be in there. But I'd probably go with those 2, because Alan Shearer, 260 goals, will it ever be beaten? It's going to take some unbelievable goal scorer to do it. And then you look, Ryan Giggs, 13 Premier League titles. I think, someone like probably Thierry will probably be next, because it's only because of the unbelievable achievements of those 2 players I've just mentioned. Alan being the greatest goal scorer in the history of the Premier League up to this date, and Ryan Giggs, I don't think that will not be beaten. We're talking about 2 players who've got records there that may never be beaten. So when you look at Thierry Henry, who for me should be inducted next, you have to say some massive accolade to Thierry Henry, because look at them 2 have achieved to beat him.
Certainly. And of course, let's not forget, they only stayed in England their entire careers. Thierry Henry went overseas.
Absolutely.
I know he had a stint back, etc. Final few things here. I'm going to list out a list of names. I just want to know who you would rather be isolated in lockdown with. So, David Seaman, Nigel Winterburn, Lee Dixon, Tony Adams, or Paul Merson?
I'll probably be, let me see. It'd probably be, I spend a lot of time with Lee Dixon. I'd probably go with Dave Seaman. Dave Seaman's, he's a big old quiet guy, gets on with what he's doing, but he can have a laugh as well. He's not somebody that will be in and around you all the time. If you're in and around, and if not, you go and do your own thing. But like I said, I spend a lot of time with Lee Dixon, so I'll probably get on his nerves. So I'd probably pick Dave Seaman. I could have picked any of those guys. Nigel's quite quiet. Tony Adams can be really deep and full of philosophy. And Paul Merson's just like, he's like just a crazy guy.
Yeah, I can imagine. All right, final thing here. I'm going to list out a teammate's name. Just tell me the first thing that comes to your mind about your teammate. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Dennis Bergkamp.
Genius.
Kevin Campbell.
Underrated.
I'm going to send him that clip, by the way, of you saying that. Martin Keown.
Intense.
Ray Parlour.
The funniest man outside of the professional comedy circuit, and a great player.
Funny than Gaza?
I don't know. That'd be a good little matchup.
Manu Petit.
Beautiful.
He is quite philosophical himself. He came out to Malaysia a few times with us, and very deep. Matthew Upson.
Matthew Upson, another underrated player.
Dave Seaman.
One of the greatest.
Safe hands. And finally, Ian Wright.
I don't know what to say about myself apart from I'm just fortunate. Very fortunate.
I'll say goal-scoring machine. I'll never forget when you obviously lifted up the jersey when you got the record at the time, obviously. It's one of those iconic...
And too early. I've done it too early at one stage, and that could have been very embarrassing.
It's all good. Ian, I just want to say thank you for taking the time with me. I really hope that you'll be safe wherever you are in the UK right now, and I hope your family as well. I'm supposed to do some work with Sean, so I'm looking forward to that. And do you have any messages for the Malaysian fans? There are a lot of Gunners fans here. You know what I mean? What I would say to the Malaysian fans is be very patient with what we're doing. We've got a fantastic manager now. You know what I mean? He's got the right philosophy of what we want to do, and now we just need the fans to continue to get behind us to get ourselves back into a situation where we're challenging again. It's all about the fans and the support. All right. And myself, I didn't want to say it till the end, but I'm a Spurs supporter, but it's been an absolute pleasure to speak to you.
No
Thank
problem,
you so
Adam.
much.
My pleasure, Adam.
All
Take
the
it
best.
easy. Thanks very much.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye, my friend.